She was 17 when the Alpha King rejected her in front of the entire pack. Called her weak. Worthless. Not fit to be his mate. She left that night. Disappeared into nothing. 5 years later, she's back. And she's not weak anymore. If you want a story about revenge, power, and becoming the thing your enemies fear most, hit that subscribe button right now. Because Leah Howell is about to burn down everything Rowan Hunt built. And it's going to be beautiful. Leah Howell was 17 when she discovered her mate was the Alpha King. 17 when she thought her life was beginning. 17 when it shattered into 1,000 pieces she'd spend years trying to put back together. The mate bond snapped into place during the blood moon ceremony. The most important night in werewolf culture. When wolves came of age and discovered their fated mates. The bond was supposed to be sacred. Unbreakable. Destined by the moon goddess herself. Leah felt it. The pull. The recognition. The certainty that she belonged to someone and someone belonged to her. She followed the bond through the crowd of celebrating wolves until she stood in front of him. Rowan Hunt. Alpha King. Ruler of the Northern Territories. 23 years old and already legendary. Powerful. Ruthless. Respected and feared in equal measure. He stared at her. And Leah watched his expression shift from shock to something worse. Disgust. You. His voice carried across the suddenly silent clearing. Every wolf within hearing distance turned to watch. You're my mate. Leah couldn't speak. The bond screamed at her to move closer. To touch him. To seal the connection. But his eyes held her frozen. What's your name? Rowan demanded. Leah. Leah Howell. What rank? Omega. The word came out barely a whisper. Rowan's jaw clenched. Of course. The moon goddess pairs the Alpha King with an Omega. Perfect. Someone laughed. Then another. Soon the entire clearing was whispering. Staring. Judging. This has to be a mistake, Rowan said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I cannot be mated to an Omega. I need a strong Luna. Someone who can stand beside me. Rule beside me. Not some weak. I'm not weak, Leah interrupted. Her voice shook, but she forced the words out. The bond chose us. The moon goddess. The moon goddess was wrong. Rowan stepped forward. Leaned down so they were eye to eye. Look at you. You can barely speak without trembling. You have no power. No presence. You're small and fragile and completely unsuitable to be my queen. Each word hit like a physical blow. The mate bond was screaming now. Burning. Begging her to make him stop. To fix this. To complete the bond before it was too late. I, Rowan Hunt, Alpha King of the Northern Territories, reject you, Leah Howell, as my mate and Luna. The words hung in the air. Formal. Final. Devastating. The bond shattered. Leah felt it break. Felt like someone had reached into her chest and ripped out her heart. She collapsed. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The pain was everywhere. All-consuming. Through the agony, she heard Rowan speak again. Someone take her away. I don't want to see her again. Strong hands grabbed her. Dragged her from the clearing while she sobbed. While the mate bond died inside her. While the entire pack watched the Alpha King reject his fated mate like she was nothing. Because to him, she was nothing. They left her at the edge of pack territory. Dumped her like garbage and told her to disappear. That if she ever came back, she'd be killed for daring to claim a bond with the Alpha King. Leah lay in the dirt for hours. The rejection pain was unbearable. Like every nerve ending was on fire. Like her wolf was dying inside her. Some wolves didn't survive rejection. The pain killed them. The bond breaking was too much for the body and mind to handle. Leah wanted to die. Wanted the pain to stop. Wanted to close her eyes and never wake up. But something inside her, something small and stubborn and furious, refused. He doesn't get to kill you, a voice whispered in her mind. Her wolf. Barely alive, but still there. Still fighting. He doesn't get to destroy you and walk away. Leah dragged herself to her feet. Every movement was agony. But she moved. One step, then another. Away from the territory. Away from the pack that had watched her humiliation and done nothing. Away from the mate who'd looked at her like she was trash. She walked for 3 days, barely conscious, surviving on pain and spite, until she collapsed at the border of the Shadowlands, the forbidden territory where rogues and outcasts gathered, where the rules of pack society didn't exist. She expected to die there, alone, rejected, worthless. Instead, she met Vera. Vera was old, ancient, even by werewolf standards. She lived alone in the Shadowlands in a cabin that seemed to exist outside normal reality. When she found Leah half dead on her doorstep, she didn't ask questions. Just dragged her inside and started healing. "You're lucky," Vera said, forcing medicine down Leah's throat. "Most wolves don't survive rejection by their fated mate. The bond breaking kills them." "Why did I survive?" Leah's voice was raw from screaming. "Because you're stronger than you think. Or more stubborn. Hard to tell the difference sometimes." Leah spent 2 weeks in Vera's cabin, healing. The physical pain faded slowly. The emotional pain was worse. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Rowan's disgusted expression. Heard his words. Weak. Worthless. Unsuitable. He was right, Leah whispered one night. "I am weak. I couldn't even stand up to him. Couldn't defend myself. I just stood there and let him destroy me in front of everyone." Vera looked at her with eyes that had seen centuries. "Do you know why Omegas are considered weak? Because we are. We have no power. No rank. We're the lowest." "No." Vera's voice was sharp. "Omegas are considered weak because alphas are terrified of what you could become. Your potential is limitless. You're not bound by alpha pride or beta loyalty. You can become anything. Be anything. That's why they keep you powerless. Why they tell you you're weak. Because if you ever discovered your true strength, you'd be unstoppable." "That's not true. Isn't it? Tell me, child. What do you want?" Leah thought about it. About Rowan's rejection. About the pack's laughter. About being thrown away like garbage. "I want to be strong," she said finally. "Strong enough that no one ever looks at me like that again. Strong enough that Rowan Hunt regrets every word he said." Vera smiled. "Good. Then let's begin." Training with Vera was hell. Worse than rejection pain. Worse than anything Leah had ever experienced. Vera didn't teach normal werewolf combat. She taught ancient magic. The kind that had been forbidden for centuries because it was too powerful. Too dangerous. Too capable of upsetting the carefully maintained hierarchy of pack society. "Magic and wolf are the same," Vera explained during their first lesson. "Your wolf is magic. The shift is magic. But alphas convinced everyone that only certain wolves deserve power. That's a lie. Every wolf has magic inside them. They just have to learn to access it." Leah was skeptical. "If that's true, why doesn't everyone use magic?" "Because it's hard. Because it requires breaking down everything you've been taught about your limitations. Because most wolves would rather accept their place in the hierarchy than fight for something more." "I'll fight." "I know. That's why I'm teaching you." The first year was learning to reconnect with her wolf. The rejection had damaged their bond. Leah's wolf was weak. Barely present. They had to rebuild from nothing. Vera pushed her past breaking point every single day. Made her shift until her body gave out. Made her hold her wolf form for days until the human and wolf minds merged. Made her hunt. Fight. Survive. "You're not weak," Vera would say every time Leah collapsed. "You're untrained. There's a difference. Weak is permanent. Untrained can be fixed." The second year was combat. Real combat. Not the playful sparring of pack training. Life or death fighting. Vera was merciless. She didn't pull punches. Didn't go easy. Every mistake meant pain. Every hesitation meant failure. "Your Omega instincts tell you to submit," Vera said, circling Leah after knocking her down for the 10th time. "To make yourself small. To avoid conflict. You have to kill those instincts. Replace them with something stronger." "What?" "Rage. Use it." The rejection hurt. The humiliation burned. Don't hide from it. Don't push it down. Let it fuel you. So Leah did. She took every ounce of pain from that night. Every word Rowan had said. Every laugh from the crowd. Every moment of being treated like she was nothing. And she turned it into power. She got faster. Stronger. Deadlier. Until she could match Vera blow for blow. Until the old wolf smiled and said, "Good. Now you're ready for the real training." The third year was magic. Pure, raw, ancient magic that most wolves didn't believe existed anymore. Vera taught her to manipulate elements, to call shadows, to move through space like a ghost, to read emotions and influence minds, to become something more than wolf. Something other. "What am I becoming?" Leah asked, staring at her hands crackling with purple energy. "Powerful," Vera said simply. "You're becoming powerful." The fourth year was strategy. Politics. Understanding pack dynamics and how to exploit them. Vera had lived through centuries of alpha rule. She knew every weakness, every crack in the system, every way to tear it down from the inside. "Rowan Hunt is a good alpha," Vera said during one lesson. "Strong. Fair. Respected. But he has weaknesses." "Like what?" "Pride. He believes he's untouchable. That his position as Alpha King makes him invincible. Pride blinds him. And blind leaders make mistakes. You want me to exploit his pride? I want you to destroy it. Break him the way he broke you. Show him exactly what he rejected. What he could have had. Make him regret every word." By the fifth year, Leah was unrecognizable. The scared 17-year-old Omega was gone. In her place stood something new. Something dangerous. She was faster than any alpha. Stronger than most betas. Her magic was refined to a weapon. She could kill with a thought. Disappear into shadows. Command elements like they were extensions of her body. And she was beautiful. Not in the soft, delicate way she'd been before. Now she was beautiful like a blade. Like lightning. Like something wild and deadly and impossible to contain. "It's time," Vera said on the morning of Leah's 22nd birthday. "You're ready." "Ready for what?" "To go back. To face him. To show the Alpha King exactly what he rejected." Leah looked at her reflection in the mirror. Purple eyes, a mark of the magic she'd mastered. Scars from 5 years of brutal training. A body honed into a weapon. A mind sharp enough to cut. She wasn't Leah Howell anymore. That girl had died the night of the rejection. She was something else now. Something stronger. "Let's go," she said. Leah returned to the Northern Territories on the night of the blood moon. 5 years to the day since her rejection. Poetic. Fitting. Perfect. She didn't sneak in. Didn't hide. She walked through the front gates of the Alpha King's compound like she owned it. Wearing black leather. Magic crackling around her fingers. Purple eyes glowing in the darkness. The guards saw her. Raised their weapons. Then froze. Because the power radiating off her was suffocating. Ancient. Terrifying. "Tell your king," Leah said, her voice carrying supernatural weight, "that his rejected mate has returned." And she'd like a word. The guards ran. Actually ran. And Leah smiled. Because 5 years ago, she'd been too weak to defend herself. Now grown wolves fled from her presence. Progress. She walked through the compound. Wolves scattered. Whispered. Stared. Some recognized her. Most didn't. The scared Omega was gone. In her place stood something they had no name for. Leah reached the Great Hall. The same place she'd been rejected. Where Rowan had declared her weak and worthless and unsuitable. She pushed open the doors with a burst of magic. Let them slam against the walls with a crack that echoed through the room. The hall fell silent. Hundreds of wolves turned to stare. And there, on the raised dais, sat Rowan Hunt. Still the Alpha King. Still powerful and commanding and frustratingly handsome. Their eyes met. And Leah watched him go completely still. "Hello, Rowan," she said, her voice carrying through the silent hall. "Long time no see." Rowan stood slowly. His entire body was tense. Battle ready. "Who are you?" "You don't recognize me?" Leah walked forward. Each step deliberate. Powerful. "I'm hurt. We shared a mate bond once. Briefly. Before you shattered it." The hall erupted in whispers. Shocked gasps. Confused murmurs. "Leah?" Rowan's voice was hoarse. "Leah Howell?" "In the flesh. Though I go by something different now. Leah Howell died the night you rejected her. I'm what rose from her ashes." She reached the base of the dais. Looked up at him. And this time, she wasn't the one trembling. Rowan was. Slightly. Barely visible. But Leah's enhanced senses caught it. The fear. The shock. The hint of regret. "You're alive," he said. Disappointed? No. He stopped. Seemed to struggle with words. "What happened to you?" "Your eyes. Your power. You're stronger," Leah supplied. "Yes. Turns out being rejected by your fated mate and left to die has a way of motivating personal growth. Who knew? I didn't leave you to die. No. You just had your wolves dump me at the border and tell me I'd be killed if I returned. Much better." Guilt flashed across Rowan's face. "I was protecting the pack. And Omega Luna would have been seen as weakness. Other alphas would have challenged. You were protecting your pride," Leah cut him off. "You couldn't handle the idea of being mated to someone you considered beneath you. So you rejected me. Called me weak and worthless in front of everyone. Let them laugh while I broke. I'm sorry." The words hung in the air. And Leah laughed. Actually laughed. "You're sorry? You destroyed me. Shattered the mate bond. Left me to die alone. And you think sorry fixes that? What do you want?" "I want you to understand what you rejected." Leah let her magic flare. Purple energy crackling through the air. Shadows gathering around her. The temperature dropping 10 degrees. "I want you to see what I became. What we could have been together if you hadn't been so consumed by your own arrogance." Rowan's eyes were wide. Shocked. "You're using ancient magic." "That's forbidden." "Says who? You? The alphas who want to keep Omegas weak and powerless?" "I don't follow your rules anymore, Rowan. I don't follow anyone's rules. You're going to get yourself killed. The council will. The council can try. I've killed alphas twice your strength. Council members who thought they could control me. Silence me. I left their bodies as warnings to anyone else who wants to try." The hall was completely silent now. Every wolf staring at this impossible woman who spoke of killing alphas like it was nothing. "What do you want?" Rowan asked again. Quieter this time. Leah smiled. "I want to issue a challenge." The challenge was ancient law. Any wolf could challenge an alpha for their position. If they won, they took everything. The territory. The pack. The power. "You're challenging me for the Northern Territories?" Rowan's voice was carefully controlled. "I'm challenging you for everything. Your pack. Your title. Your throne. Everything you thought was untouchable. You can't. You're not." "Not what? An alpha? Not strong enough? Not worthy?" Leah's magic flared brighter. "I think we both know I'm more than strong enough. Unless you're afraid to face me." It was a trap, and they both knew it. If Rowan refused, he'd look weak. Afraid. But if he accepted, he'd have to fight his rejected mate in front of the entire pack. "I accept," Rowan said. 3 days from now. The full moon. Traditional combat rules. "No." Leah shook her head. "Tonight. Right now. And not traditional combat. Real combat. Magic allowed. No holds barred. Fight until someone yields or dies." Murmurs through the crowd. That wasn't how challenges worked. There were rules. Protocols. Limitations. "Why the rush?" Rowan asked. "Because I've waited 5 years for this. I'm not waiting 3 more days. Either fight me now or abdicate. Those are your options." Rowan stared at her. Then nodded slowly. "Fine. But if I win, you leave. Forever. You never come back. You don't interfere with my pack or my territory. And if I win, I take everything. Your pack. Your lands. Your title. Everything you value. Do we have a deal?" Rowan descended the dais. Stood in front of her. Close enough that Leah could feel the heat radiating off him. Close enough to see the conflict in his eyes. "Deal," he said. They moved to the center of the hall. Wolves cleared a space. Formed a circle. This was unprecedented. An Omega challenging the Alpha King. Magic against pure strength. The rejected against the rejector. "Any last words?" Rowan asked, already shifting into a fighting stance. Leah smiled. "Yes. Remember when you said I was too weak to be your Luna? Let's test that theory." The fight started fast. Rowan was an experienced warrior. Alpha King for a reason. He moved like liquid violence. All power and precision and lethal grace. But Leah was faster. She dodged his first strike, countered with a blast of magic that sent him skidding backward. The crowd gasped. No one expected her to land a hit so quickly. Rowan recovered, shifted partially, claws extended, eyes glowing gold. He was taking her seriously now. Good. They clashed. Rowan's physical strength against Leah's magic. He was stronger in pure power. But she was faster, more agile. And she'd spent 5 years training for exactly this moment. You've gotten better, Rowan admitted, blocking a shadow strike. I'll give you that. Better. Leah sent a wave of energy that knocked him back 10 feet. I've gotten lethal. There's a difference. She pressed the advantage. Shadows wrapped around Rowan's legs, held him in place. She closed the distance, struck with enhanced speed. Her fist connected with his jaw with a crack that echoed through the hall. Rowan went down. The crowd was silent. The Alpha King had been knocked down by an Omega. Impossible. Unthinkable. But Rowan wasn't done. He broke through the shadows with sheer strength, lunged at Leah, caught her around the waist. They went down together, rolling, fighting for dominance. You're strong, Rowan panted, pinning her momentarily. I didn't expect. Leah drove her knee into his stomach, used his moment of pain to flip their positions. Now she was on top, her hand wrapped around his throat, purple magic crackling through her fingers. You didn't expect me to survive, she finished for him. You thought I'd die, that the rejection would kill me like it kills most wolves. You thought you could throw me away and never face consequences. Leah. My name, she said, tightening her grip, is not Leah anymore. That girl died because of you. I'm something else now. Something you created with your cruelty. Then what do I call you? She leaned down, close enough to whisper. Call me your biggest mistake. Then she threw him across the room with a burst of magic. Rowan crashed into a pillar. Stone cracked. Dust fell. He struggled to stand. Leah stalked toward him. You said I was weak. Worthless. Not fit to stand beside you. Let me show you what worthless looks like. She unleashed everything. 5 years of training. 5 years of rage. 5 years of pain transformed into pure destructive power. Magic tore through the hall. Shadows wrapped around Rowan. Lightning cracked from her fingers. The ground shook. Wolves scrambled back. Some ran. This wasn't a fight anymore. This was annihilation. Rowan fought back. He was Alpha King for a reason. Powerful. Skilled. But he was fighting on instinct and training. Leah was fighting with purpose. With fury. With the need to prove everything he'd said about her was wrong. They clashed again. Magic against strength. Speed against power. The hall was being destroyed around them. Pillars cracked. Windows shattered. The fight was too intense. Too destructive. Too far beyond normal werewolf combat. Finally, Leah saw her opening. Rowan was tiring. His movements slowing. She feinted left. He took the bait. And she struck with everything she had. Purple magic slammed into Rowan's chest. Sent him flying. He hit the wall with a sickening crack. Slid down. Didn't get up. Leah walked over. Looked down at the Alpha King sprawled at her feet. Yield. No. Rowan coughed blood. I don't yield. Then I'll kill you. Is that what you want? Do what you have to do. Leah raised her hand. Magic gathered. Lethal. Final. One strike would end it. Would kill him. Would give her everything. And she stopped. Because despite everything, despite the rejection, the pain, the 5 years of suffering, she didn't want to kill him. Didn't want his death. She wanted his acknowledgement. His regret. His understanding of what he'd destroyed. I could kill you, she said quietly. Easily. But I won't. Because I'm not like you. I don't destroy people just because I can. She lowered her hand. Stepped back. I challenge you, Rowan Hunt, to acknowledge what you rejected. To admit you were wrong. To accept that the weak Omega you threw away became strong enough to defeat you. Do that and I'll leave. You keep your pack. Your title. Everything. Rowan stared at her. Blood on his face. Pride shattered. Why? Because I don't want your territory. I don't want your pack. I don't want anything from you except the truth. Were you wrong about me? Silence stretched. Every wolf in the hall was watching. Waiting. This moment would define everything. If the Alpha King admitted fault, admitted weakness, admitted a rejected Omega was right. Finally, Rowan spoke. Yes, I was wrong. The hall erupted. Shocked gasps. Disbelieving whispers. The Alpha King had admitted he was wrong. Publicly. In front of his entire pack. Say it all, Leah demanded. Say what you said 5 years ago was wrong. Rowan struggled to his feet. Looked at her with something that might have been regret. 5 years ago, I rejected you because I thought you were weak. I said you weren't fit to be my Luna. I was wrong. You're not weak. You're the strongest wolf I've ever fought. And he paused. I'm sorry for what I did to you. Leah felt something crack inside her. 5 years of anger. 5 years of pain. And hearing him finally admit he was wrong didn't bring satisfaction. It brought sadness. Your apology means nothing, she said. You destroyed me because I didn't fit your standards. Because you cared more about what other alphas thought than about the mate the moon goddess chose for you. Sorry doesn't fix that. I know. But it's all I have to offer. Leah turned to leave. Stopped. Looked back at him one last time. For what it's worth, Rowan. You were my mate. And part of me will always wonder what we could have been if you'd given us a chance. If you'd chosen love over pride. But you didn't. And now we'll never know. She walked toward the door. The crowd parted. Let her pass. The Omega who'd defeated the Alpha King. Who'd proven everything wrong. Who'd returned from death itself stronger. Leah. Rowan's voice stopped her. What will you do now? She smiled. Whatever I want. I'm not bound by pack law anymore. Not bound by mate bonds or alpha authority or anyone's expectations. I'm free. And that's worth more than any throne. Then she walked out. Left the Northern Territories behind. Left Rowan Hunt bleeding and broken and finally understanding exactly what he'd rejected. Part 5. The Aftermath. 3 months later, Leah was building her own pack. Not a traditional pack. A sanctuary for rejected wolves. For Omegas who'd been told they were weak. For anyone who didn't fit the rigid hierarchy of werewolf society. They called her the Shadow Queen. The wolf who'd mastered forbidden magic. Who'd defeated an Alpha King and walked away. Who'd proven that strength wasn't about rank or birth. It was about choice. Word spread. Rejected wolves found her. Outcasts. Rogues. Those who'd been broken by the system. And Leah welcomed them all. You built something incredible here, Vera said, visiting the compound. I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. You did this yourself. I just showed you the door. You walked through it. Leah looked around at the wolves training. Learning magic. Discovering their own strength. Do you think I did the right thing? Letting him live. Do you regret it? No. Killing him would have made me like him. Someone who destroys others because I can. I wanted to be better than that. Then yes. You did the right thing. A messenger arrived. Nervous. Young. Wearing the Northern Territories colors. The Alpha King requests an audience. Leah raised an eyebrow. Tell him I'm not interested. He said. The messenger swallowed. He said to tell you he's not coming as Alpha King. He's coming as Rowan Hunt. The wolf who wants to apologize properly. Leah considered. Then nodded. Fine. Tomorrow. Noon. He comes alone or he doesn't come at all. Rowan arrived exactly at noon. Alone. No guards. No show of power. Just him and whatever courage it took to face her again. They met in Leah's office. Neutral territory. She sat behind her desk. Let him stand. Small power play. Petty maybe, but satisfying. You built this fast, Rowan said, looking around. It's impressive. Get to the point. Why are you here? To apologize. Properly. Not the rushed version I gave you in the hall. I told you. Your apology means nothing. I know. But I have to say it anyway. Rowan took a breath. 5 years ago, I rejected you because I was a coward. I cared more about what other alphas thought than about the mate the moon goddess gave me. I believed in a hierarchy that said omegas were weak and alphas were strong. I was wrong. About all of it. Go on. You deserved better. You deserved a mate who saw your potential, who supported you, who loved you for who you were and who you could become. Instead, you got me. Someone who destroyed you because you didn't fit his narrow definition of strength. I can't undo that. Can't take back what I said or what I did. But I can tell you that you're the strongest person I've ever met. And I'm sorry I was too blind to see it. Leah was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what the worst part was? Not the rejection itself. Not even the pain. It was the laughter. Your pack laughed while I broke. While I sobbed in the dirt. They laughed because the Alpha King told them I was worthless. And they believed him. I know. Do you? Do you understand what it's like to be humiliated like that? To have everyone you knew watch you shatter and think it's funny? No, I don't. And I'm sorry for that too. For creating that moment. For letting them laugh. For not having the courage to stand up and say the hierarchy was wrong. Why are you really here, Rowan? Because if you think an apology is going to fix this, you're delusional. I don't think it'll fix anything. I'm here because I need you to know something. Rowan met her eyes. The mate bond is broken. The rejection can't be undone. But I feel it anyway. The pull. The certainty that you're supposed to be mine and I'm supposed to be yours. It's weaker. Damaged. But it's still there. Leah's breath caught. Don't. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking for a second chance. I'm just telling you the truth. I rejected you 5 years ago and I've regretted it every day since. Not because you became powerful, but because I destroyed something precious, because I was too proud to see its value. You rejected me because I was weak. No, I rejected you because I was weak. And I'm sorry. They sat in silence. The weight of 5 years between them. The rejection. The pain. The transformation. Everything that had broken and everything that had been rebuilt. I don't forgive you, Leah said finally. Maybe someday, but not today. I understand. But she paused. I appreciate you coming here. Saying this. It doesn't fix what you did, but it helps. A little. Rowan nodded. That's all I can ask for. He turned to leave. Stopped at the door. For what it's worth, Leah, you're exactly the kind of Luna I needed. I was just too stupid to realize it until it was too late. Then he was gone. And Leah sat alone in her office, feeling the ghost of a mate bond that had been shattered but somehow still existed. Weaker. Broken. But there. Part 6. The Choice. Months passed. Leah's pack grew. Her reputation spread. The Shadow Queen. The Omega who'd become something more. The wolf who'd defeated an Alpha King and built her own kingdom. Rowan stayed away. Respected her boundaries. But he sent gifts. Books on ancient magic. Rare herbs for Vera. Resources for her pack. Always with a note. No strings attached. Just trying to support what you're building. He's courting you, Vera said, looking at the latest delivery. In a very alpha way. He's apologizing. It can be both. Leah didn't respond. Because part of her, the part that still felt that broken mate bond, wondered if Vera was right. The truth was, she thought about Rowan more than she wanted to admit. About what he'd said. About the regret in his eyes. About the mate bond that somehow still existed despite being shattered. Then came the threat. A rival alpha, Marcus Stone from the Eastern Territories, declared war. Not on Rowan. On Leah. The Omega who thinks she's a queen needs to be reminded of her place, Marcus announced publicly. I'll crush her little pack and prove that the natural hierarchy exists for a reason. It was a direct challenge. Marcus had a reputation for brutality. For destroying anyone who questioned alpha authority. And he had 3 times as many wolves as Leah. We're outnumbered, Vera said, reading the reports. Even with magic, this will be difficult. Then we fight smart. Use terrain. Use magic. Use everything we've learned. Or, a voice said from the doorway, you accept help. Leah turned. Rowan stood there. Behind him, 50 of his best warriors. I heard about Marcus's declaration. Thought you might need backup. I don't need your help. I know. But I'm offering anyway. Not as Alpha King. As someone who doesn't want to see you hurt. Why would you risk your wolves for me? Because you're my mate. Rejected or not. Broken bond or not. You're still mine. And I protect what's mine. Leah wanted to be angry, to throw his help back in his face. But she wasn't stupid. Marcus was dangerous. And pride had already cost her enough. Fine, she said. But I'm in command. This is my pack. My fight. You follow my orders or you leave. Rowan smiled. Yes, Luna. The battle was brutal. Marcus brought his entire army. Over 300 wolves. All trained. All loyal. All convinced that putting down the Omega Uprising was their sacred duty. They attacked at dawn. Came in fast and violent, expecting to overwhelm Leah's smaller pack through sheer numbers and aggression. They weren't expecting magic. Leah stood at the front lines, purple eyes blazing. Shadows rose around her like living things. The ground beneath the charging wolves turned to quicksand. Lightning cracked from clear skies. The battlefield became a nightmare. Forward! Marcus roared from the back. She's just one wolf. Push through. But Leah wasn't alone. Rowan fought beside her, leading his warriors with precision. And Leah's own pack, former outcasts and rejected wolves who'd trained in both combat and magic, fought like demons. You're left. Rowan shouted, taking down 2 wolves who'd broken through. Leah spun. Sent a wave of shadow energy that knocked back 5 more. They moved together naturally, fighting as a unit despite the broken bond. Despite everything between them, Marcus finally emerged from his protected position. Shifted into his alpha form, massive, scarred, terrifying. Enough. I'll kill the Omega myself. He charged straight for Leah. Raw power and rage. No finesse. Just brutal alpha strength meant to overwhelm. Leah met him head-on. They collided in an explosion of force and magic. Marcus was strong. Possibly stronger than Rowan in pure physical power. But Leah had 5 years of fighting opponents stronger than her. She'd learned to turn strength against itself. She dodged his strikes, used his momentum, let him overextend, then struck back with precision. Magic and combat merged into something beautiful and deadly. You're just an Omega. Marcus snarled, catching her arm. You don't deserve this power. Maybe that's why I earned it. Leah drove her knee into his ribs. Felt them crack. While you were born into strength, I built mine from nothing. She broke his grip. Spun. Her hand wrapped around his throat. Magic poured through her fingers. Not lethal. Not yet. But painful. Incapacitating. Yield, she commanded. Her voice carried supernatural weight. Alpha command laced with magic. Impossible to resist. Marcus's eyes went wide. His body obeyed against his will. Dropped to his knees. Submitted to an Omega. Something that should have been impossible. The battlefield went silent. Marcus's wolves watched their alpha kneel before the Shadow Queen. Watched him submit. Watched everything they'd been taught about hierarchy crumble. Your alpha declared war on me because I threatened his worldview, Leah announced, her voice carrying to every wolf present. Because I proved that Omegas aren't weak. That power isn't about birth or rank. It's about choice. About what you do with what you have. About refusing to accept limitations others place on you. She looked at Marcus's wolves. Some looked angry. Some looked shocked. Some looked hopeful. I'm not going to kill him, Leah continued. Because I'm not trying to prove I'm stronger than alphas. I'm trying to prove the hierarchy is a lie. That every wolf has potential regardless of what rank they were born into. So I'm giving you all a choice. She released Marcus. Let him collapse, gasping. Go back to the Eastern Territories. Follow an alpha who tells you your worth is determined by birth. Or, she gestured to her pack. Stay. Learn. Discover your own strength. No rank. No hierarchy. Just wolves helping wolves become who they're meant to be. Silence. Then one wolf stepped forward. Then another. Then 10. 20. 50. More than half of Marcus's army walked across the battlefield. Abandoned their alpha. Chose possibility over tradition. Marcus stared in disbelief. You're all traitors. Weak. Pathetic. No, one of them, a former beta, said quietly. We're done being told our potential is limited by birth. We're done serving alphas who care more about power than pack. We choose her. Marcus struggled to his feet. looked at Leah with pure hatred. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Go home, Marcus. Rebuild with the wolves who still believe your lies. But leave us alone. Or next time, I won't be merciful. He left, limping, humiliated, his remaining wolves following like beaten dogs. And Leah stood victorious. The Omega who'd defeated 2 Alpha Kings in 6 months. The celebration that night was wild. Wolves who'd spent their lives being told they were weak had just proven otherwise. Had fought beside magic users and alpha warriors as equals. Had won. Leah found herself on the roof of her compound. Alone. Looking at the stars. Processing everything. You should be down there celebrating, Rowan's voice said behind her. You won. We won. Your wolves fought too. They fought for you. I heard what they were saying. About the Omega who became a queen. Who proved strength isn't about rank. Rowan sat beside her. You're changing everything. Good. The old way was broken. They sat in comfortable silence. The broken mate bond humming quietly between them. Damaged but present. Can I ask you something? Rowan said finally. Sure. Do you still hate me? Leah thought about it. Really thought. No. I did. For a long time. But hate takes energy. And I need that energy for building something better. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I don't know. Maybe. You've been trying. Actually trying. The gifts. The support. Fighting beside me today. It matters. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Doesn't mean the bond can be repaired. You shattered it, Rowan. Some things can't be fixed. I know. His voice was heavy. Believe me, I know. I feel it every day. The ghost of what we could have been. The pull toward you that can never be completed. Is it painful? Yes. But I deserve it. This is the consequence of my choice. I live with it. Leah looked at him. Really looked. Saw the regret etched into every line of his face. The understanding of what he'd lost. The acceptance that some mistakes can't be undone. What if she stopped? Started again. What if we tried something? Tried what? Not the mate bond. That's broken. But something new. Something we choose instead of something destiny forced on us. Rowan's eyes widened. You mean? I mean, I'm not ready to forgive you. Not ready to trust you completely. But you fought beside me today. You've supported my pack. You've apologized and meant it. Maybe that's enough to start something. Not what we were supposed to have. But what we choose to build. Leah, Rowan's voice broke. I don't deserve that. No, you don't. But maybe that's the point. The mate bond said we were destined. That we had to be together. You rejected that. You rejected me. But now? Now we get to choose. Without destiny. Without bonds. Just 2 people deciding if they want to try. And you want to try? Even after everything. I don't know. But I'm willing to find out. If you are. Rowan was quiet. Then he reached out slowly. Took her hand. His was warm. Hers was cold. The opposite of what it should be. Omega and Alpha. Rejected and rejector. Broken bond and new possibility. I choose you, he said. Not because of destiny. Not because the moon goddess said so. But because you're extraordinary. Because you're the strongest person I know. Because you make me want to be better. I choose you, Leah. If you'll have me. Leah felt something shift. Not the mate bond repairing, that was impossible. But something new. Something that belonged to them alone. Then let's try, she said. Slowly. Carefully. With the understanding that you're on probation. That one mistake, one moment of thinking I'm not good enough, and we're done. I understand. And this doesn't make you my alpha. I'm not your Luna. We're equals, or we're nothing. Equals. I promise. Good. Leah squeezed his hand. Then let's see what we can build from the ashes of what was destroyed. They sat together under the stars. 2 wolves who'd been broken by destiny and were trying to build something new from choice. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be perfect. But it would be theirs. Epilogue, 1 year later. The Shadow Pack had become legendary. Wolves came from every territory seeking asylum. Seeking training. Seeking the Omega Turn Queen who'd shattered every rule about hierarchy and power. Leah's compound was now a city. Buildings. Training grounds. Schools where young wolves learned magic alongside combat. Gardens where elders taught ancient knowledge. It was everything the traditional packs weren't: accepting, diverse, powerful. And Rowan was there. Not as Alpha King claiming territory. As Leah's partner. Her chosen mate. The wolf who'd rejected her and spent every day since proving he'd changed. They were in her office when Vera arrived. The old wolf looked troubled. "The council is calling an emergency meeting," Vera said. "Every alpha in North America. They're discussing you. Let me guess. They think I'm a threat. They think you're starting a revolution. Which, to be fair, you are." Leah smiled. "Good. The system needed revolution. They want you to attend. To explain yourself. And if I refuse, they'll declare war. All the packs against yours." Rowan stood. "They can't. Leah hasn't broken any laws. She's helped wolves who were rejected by the system. That's not illegal." "No, but it's threatening. And threatened alphas do stupid things." Vera looked at Leah. "What do you want to do?" Leah thought about it. About the pack she'd built. The wolves she'd saved. The revolution she'd started. About everything she'd become since that night 5 years ago when Rowan had called her weak. "I'll go," she said. "I'll face the council. And I'll tell them exactly what I told Marcus. The hierarchy is a lie. Power isn't about rank. And if they want to fight me over that, I'll fight every alpha in North America and prove it." Rowan took her hand. "We'll fight them." "No. You'll stay here. Protect the pack. This is my revolution, Rowan. I started it. I'll finish it." "Leah, I'm not the scared Omega you rejected 5 years ago. I don't need protecting. I don't need saving. I need you to trust that I can handle this. Can you do that?" Rowan looked at her. At the power radiating from her. At the confidence that had replaced fear. At the queen she'd become. "Yes," he said. "I trust you. Go show those alphas what a rejected Omega can do." Leah smiled. Kissed him. Not the desperate kiss of a broken mate bond, but the chosen kiss of two wolves who'd decided to build something together. "When I get back," she said, "we're throwing a party. A real one. Where rejected wolves and alpha warriors dance together. Where Omegas lead and alphas follow. Where we celebrate everything this pack has become." "I'll plan it," Rowan promised. "Go change the world." Leah left for the council meeting. Purple eyes glowing. Magic crackling around her fingers. 5 years ago she'd been rejected. Destroyed. Left to die. Now she was walking into a room full of the most powerful alphas in North America to tell them their entire system was built on lies. And if they wanted to fight her over it, she'd show them exactly what a weak, worthless, unsuitable Omega could become when she stopped accepting other people's definitions of her worth. She was Leah Howell, the Shadow Queen, the rejected who returned stronger, the Omega who defeated an Alpha King and built a revolution from the ashes of her own destruction. And she was done apologizing for being powerful. If this story made you believe that rejection isn't the end, that sometimes being destroyed is just the beginning of becoming something greater, drop a comment with crown. Let's flood this section with crowns. Because we're all royalty in our own stories. We're all capable of rising from ashes. We're all stronger than the people who tried to break us. Smash that subscribe button for more stories about revenge, transformation, and becoming the thing your enemies fear most. About taking pain and turning it into power. About proving every person who said you weren't good enough was catastrophically wrong. You're not weak. You're not worthless. You're not unsuitable. You're exactly where you need to be. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you'll be so powerful that everyone who underestimated you will regret it. And when that day comes, remember this story. Remember Leah. And know that you're capable of the same transformation. The same strength. The same beautiful, terrible revenge of simply becoming everything they said you couldn't be. Now go. Build your kingdom. Become your own queen. And show the world what happens when you reject rejection and choose yourself instead.